is decided.
Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Commerce and Consumer Protection. Whether in regard to consumer protection, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain information as to A, whether any study was carried out prior to the introduction of the Price Stabilization Fund, indicating the impact thereof as at June 2026, giving a breakdown of the expenditure of 1.4 billion rupees incurred thereunder, further indicating the names of the importers or operators having benefited therefrom, an amount disbursed in each case. B, whether he will table the list of products to be impacted by the excise duty levied on sugar content of sugar-sweetened products with effect from 20th June 2026 and on PET bottle, respectively. And C, the number of inspections carried out and contraventions booked by the Consumer Affairs Unit in relation thereto since the presentation of the Budget Speech 2026-2027 to date. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to consumer protection and the Price Stabilization Fund, I wish to inform the House as follows. As regards to Part A of the question, prior to the introduction of the Price Stabilization Fund subsidy mechanism, my ministry carried out an assessment of the commodities to be covered in consultation with relevant agencies, including the Mauritius Revenue Authority, the Ministry of Finance, and all different consumer associations. The assessment focused on the movement of international prices, freight costs, exchange rate pressures, landed costs, household consumption patterns, and the need to provide targeted relief on essential goods. The objective was to ensure that the subsidy would be directed to products which have a direct impact on household expenditure and that the benefit would be passed on to the consumers in a transparent and measurable manner. Government approved the introduction of a fixed quantum subsidy mechanism under the Price Stabilization Fund at the end of August 2025. The first list of products covered milk powder, edible oil, infant milk powder, baby diapers, and processed cheese. The scheme was subsequently extended in December 2025 to canned mackerel and pilchards, adult diapers, and 3 categories of pharmaceutical products, namely antihypertensive, cardiovascular, and anti-diabetic medicines. The pharmaceutical component was implemented as from February 2026. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the choice of a fixed quantum subsidy model was deliberate. Under this model, a fixed amount of subsidy is applied per eligible unit or per kilogram instead of an open-ended percentage subsidy. This provides better fiscal control, allows the benefit to be visible to consumers, and reduces the risk of uncontrolled expenditure. The scheme is administered through the Mauritius Revenue Authority platform. Eligible operators submit their claims electronically based on actual sales. The claims are then verified before payment is effected. This creates a clear audit trail and provides traceability across the supply chain. As at June 2026, the assessment carried out by my ministry indicates that the subsidy has been effectively transmitted to consumers across the product categories concerned. price monitoring exercises have shown immediate reductions in retail prices following implementation, and these reductions have generally been sustained over time without significant supply disruptions or market distortion. For food items already covered under the scheme, comparative monitoring across representative brands has shown reductions generally ranging between 10 rupees and 55 rupees per unit. The scheme has therefore contributed to stabilizing prices of selected essential commodities and has provided direct relief to consumers. My ministry has also continued to strengthen its overall price monitoring system. Since June 2025, the Price Analysis and Monitoring Division has approved 31,426 costing returns for Mauritius and 1,889 costing returns for Rodrigues, thereby allowing the ministry to monitor prices and markups across the market more effectively. Since the start of the year, 12 weekly monitoring and analytical report has been conducted to assess the impact of the external factors on commodities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as regards the amount of 1.4 billion rupees, this amount covers subsidies granted on milk powder, edible oil, infant milk powder, baby diapers, processed cheese, canned mackerel and pilchards, adult diapers, and the 3 selected categories of medicines for diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and hypertension. Mr. Deputy Speaker, based on the latest MO information submitted to my ministry, as at 16th of June 2026, total subsidy payments already effected to eligible traders amounted to approximately 710.1 million rupees. There are also some 366 million rupees under process for payment and 280 million rupees paid to bakeries. The main payments affected were as follows. Milk powder accounted for approximately 362 million rupees. Edible oil accounted approximately 246 million rupees. Processed cheese accounted for approximately 41.7 million rupees. Infant milk powder accounted for approximately 26.5 million rupees. Baby diapers accounted for approximately 11.2 million rupees. Canned products accounted for approximately 6.4 million rupees. Adult diapers accounted for approximately 4.3 million rupees. Anti-diabetic medicines accounted for approximately 4.2 million rupees. Anti-hypertensive medicines accounted for approximately 4 million rupees. Cardiovascular medicines accounted for approximately 4 million rupees. Refunds are made through the MRA platform, and only after claims submitted by eligible operators have been verified. The mechanism distinguishes between claims submitted, claims under process, claims verified, claims adjusted, and claims paid. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the estimated annual cost of a present further extension is 258.8 million rupees for Mauritius, an additional of 1.4 million rupees is required for Rodrigues, bringing the total estimated annual cost to 260.2 million rupees. The extension to Rodrigues is being made on a price equalization basis so that consumers in Rodrigues benefit from the same retail prices as consumers in Mauritius. The new list of products was selected because these items are widely consumed and have a direct impact on the household food basket. They include sources of protein, staple substitutes, and essential products used by families with infants. The extension of the scheme also requires amendments to the relevant consumer protection regulations to incorporate the additional commodities, prescribe the applicable subsidy parameters, set maximum pack sizes, and provide for eligibility and refund procedures. The existing MRA platform will continue to be used for operator registration, stock declaration, and refund processing. This avoids creating a new administrative structure and ensures continuity, transparency, and traceability. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as regards to the names of importers or operators, the amount disbursed to each, the detailed operator-wise breakdown is being tabled. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I wish to inform the House that the budgetary measures referred to at paragraph 274 and 276 concern products which may be impacted by changes in taxation under the purview of the Ministry of Finance and the Mauritius Revenue Authority, and not the Price Stabilization Fund. Regarding PET bottles, the excise duty of 2 rupees per unit is currently applicable on mineral waters, aerated waters, and soft drinks. There has been no change in the rate. However, the coverage of that 2 rupees excise duty is being extended to cover plastic bottles containing goods with effect from 1st of October 2026. I'm tabling the following list provided to me by the Ministry of Finance. The list of products on which the excise duty on sugar sweetened products has been increased from 12 cents per gram of sugar to 15 cents per gram of sugar with effect from 20th of June 2026. An exact list of plastic bottles and a list of plastic bottles on which the excise duty will apply. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as regards to Part C of a question, the Consumer Affairs Unit has continued to intensify market surveillance to ensure compliance with consumer protection legislation, price control measures, price display requirements and obligations relating to subsidized goods. Officers of the Consumer Affairs Unit carry out inspections in supermarkets, retail shops, pharmacies, hardware stores, trade fairs, and over commercial premises. For the period July 2025 till 6 July 2026, the Consumer Affairs Unit inspected 11,567 trade premises, detected 1,240 contravention, out of 1,215 fixed penalty notices were issued and carried out 595 sampling exercises. In addition, 2,541 complaints were registered on the Citizen Support Portal, of which 89.5% were successfully resolved. The main areas of complaint and investigation relate to the defective goods, unfair consumer trade practices, and missing price labels. Since the presentation of a budget up to 6 July 2026, the number of inspections carried out is 515. The number of contraventions established whereby fixed penalty notices were issued is 43. The main breaches detected relate to failure to display prices, non-compliant price labels, unfair trade practices, selling above approved prices or markups, failure to submit required costing returns, and non-compliance with obligations relating to subsidized goods. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, government is not only subsidizing essential goods, we are also strengthening the framework around the subsidy to prevent abuse, improve transparency, and ensure that the benefit reaches consumers. My ministry will continue to monitor prices, verify compliance, take enforcement action where required, and work with the Mauritius Revenue Authority to ensure that the price stabilization fund remains targeted, transparent, and accountable. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir.
Honourable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Well, Deputy Speaker, the House will note that only 35% has been disbursed from the Price Stabilization Fund by the MRA during last year. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he will confirm if his ministry has conducted any study on the effect of the measures of paragraph 274 and 276 of the budget, and will he table the exact list of products impacted by these measures?
I don't have a problem with this. I will table it. And I have to say that the percentage which the Honourable Leader of Opposition is saying, which is 25%, is really wrong. We will disburse 1.4 billion rupees.
This is the figures the Minister gave to the House. My first part of the question was related to whether your ministry has conducted a study on the effect of the measures of paragraphs 274 and 276 of the budget. You have not replied to that part. You said only you will table the list.
Well, it is a measure of the government. We will need to come with a measure.
So there is no study which has been conducted. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the measure that paragraph 276 will take effect as from the 1st of October. Can the Honourable Minister explain how prices of products in plastic bottles have already been increased by manufacturers and distributors? And did his ministry inquire about this? And have these distributors and manufacturers been fined?
Well, this is a taxation measure, and we all know plastic is bad for the environment. This is why we came with this measure.
Again, he is not replying to my question.
I don't have any
Honourable
control on
Deputy
this answer.
Speaker, regarding the levy of ₹2 on plastic bottles, can the Honourable Minister confirm to the House that this measure will impact more than 2,000 products consumed on a daily basis in this country? Is the Honourable Minister aware that even, Honourable Deputy Speaker, healthy products like Jilo Cocoa will be heavily penalized by this measure?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir,
Okay.
these products are not controlled products. Some importers and some manufacturers can also absorb the cost. It's not a controlled product.
Deputy Speaker, sir, they will not absorb the cost. It will be passed on to consumers. Now, how does the Honourable Minister reconcile that a levy has been introduced in order to discourage the use of plastic, but no alternative to plastic bottles has been provided to manufacturers?
People need to adapt. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, at least we care for the population, we care for the environment, unlike the previous government. You know what the previous government did? They changed the law. You know, to do what? To import tipapier at the sum of 460 million rupees for people for drug abuse.
Let's limit ourselves to the plastic bottle. Okay.
Stop beating about the bush, Honourable Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, can the Honourable Minister confirm to the House what guarantee do we have that the tax revenue generated from these excise duties will be reinvested into obesity and diabetes prevention and as well as for the protection of the environment.
Concerning for the diabetes, in fact, when we look what we have concerning the sugar tax, I have to say that Mauritius has one of the highest prevalence rates of diabetes and over non-communicable disease in the region. These diseases impose an enormous human and financial burden on families, on our healthcare system, and on our economy. At least we need to make people, how do we say, recognize the risk factor of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases.
No question?
My question to the Minister of Commerce, not to the Minister of
Okay, put your next question.
He's giving us a lecture.
It's a teamwork.
Now, with hundreds of retail adjusting their pricing structures this very week, can the Honourable Minister inform the House what is the exact number of inspections and contraventions carried out by the Consumer Affairs Unit of his ministry since those measures have been announced in the budget?
I just said over 500 inspections, 515 inspections. You need to listen to my answer. Fixed penalties, notices, 43.
Quiet. Yes.
In the budget estimates at page 417, there is a forecast of 11,000 inspections to be carried out. However, no recruitment of staff is being proposed in the budget. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House why no budget was allocated for the recruitment of staff, and how will the same number of staff carry out more than 4,000 inspections this year?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we are doing well. We are doing more than the number of inspections targeted.
Yes.
Can the Honourable Minister inform the House what additional resources have been allocated to the Consumer Affairs Unit to enforce price controls and investigate complaints?
Can you repeat the question? I was reading.
Yes, I'll repeat. Deputy Speaker, can the Honourable Minister inform the House what additional resources have been allocated to the Consumer Affairs Unit to enforce price controls and investigate complaints?
We have a software coming. So, any person, depuis son salon, la personne peut consulter depuis son portable les différents prix à travers Maurice.
Honorable Juval? Can I?
The Honourable Minister explicitly stated that parallel importation of essential medicines will lead to price reduction and promised a new legislation to achieve this. May I ask the Honourable Minister, when will he table this promised legislation?
It's a question of week.
It's a question of
Week.
Can the Honourable Minister confirm to the House if the budget announcement of 2 billion rupees allocated for alleviating rise in prices of commodities form part of the measure as the 10 billion announced last year? Did you follow what I said?
It's a great measure. People are happy outside, right? We are not doing like the previous government, losing money, paying to legal advisors. You know, to the tune of what at the STC? 157 million rupees. Let me table the list.
Any, you want?
for 10 years.
Honorable Bishop?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, he is not replying to my question.
I have no control on his reply.
As announced last year.
Okay. I have given the floor to Mr. Bishop, then Honorable Duval, then Honorable Antil, then back to the Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Question and answer.
Yes.
Simple.
Number one, can the Honourable Minister please enlighten the House on the current rate of inflation in Mauritius? And secondly, is it possible to request those suppliers to put a sticker on those government-subsidized products so that people know that the state is doing an effort to support them?
First of all, since 1st of July 2026, all retail outlets must put on their label SP, which means subsidized products, or MRP, means maximal retail price. And also, maximum markup, sorry. And also, concerning inflation, it's around 4% presently, comparing to when the MSM was in power, it was around 9, 10, 11, 12%.
Honorable Duval?
I know from the Honourable Minister, with regards to the levy on plastic bottles, the 2 rupees levy, may we know from the Honourable Minister, what is the plan to adapt? Because we understand that plastic products there's no alternative, so the consumer is today condemned to pay that 2 rupees levy. It is a tax. So what is the alternative that is being proposed now with the money that will be drawn in as revenue? How much of it will be reinvested for recycling and to finding and subsidizing better alternatives? What are the alternatives that you're offering besides taxing people?
In fact, we need to educate the people so that we switch to other measures. For example, for bottled water, we can switch to water filters. It is as simple as this. And you will save money, people will save money, and also it is extremely good for the environment.
Honorable Antil, you have a question?
I thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House of the current status of investigations into the alleged fraud involving flour finance à travers the Price Stabilization Fund, please? Thank you.
I have to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the FCC is investigating into this matter.
Okay.
We have found that flour and ration rice were in Comoros Island.
Okay, there's an inquiry by the FCC. This question is not related to the
It is
main
because
question.
the previous government put measures so that
all right.
people could do fraud. This
Okay.
is what happened in the past.
No, Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we understand from the Minister's reply that this will apply only to bottled water. He's encouraging to buy, what is it? Bottle machine. But it applies to every plastic product in this country. And the question therefore is, with regards to alternatives, there are billions of rupees to be collected. So what is the plan, Mr. Deputy Speaker? This is a levy or is it a tax? Be frank about what it is.
Well, we need to protect the environment. This is what we are doing.
How much is going to be invested?
Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Honourable Minister, recently Réunion Island has witnessed a drastic drop in prices of mogas and gas oil. Given the drop in global crude oil, may we know from the Honourable Minister when can Mauritian consumers expect a drop of at least 10 rupees or even the 20 rupees promised by the government on mogas and gas oil?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, mogas, the price of mogas from Réunion Island. On 19th of June 2026, it was 105 rupees. Yesterday, the price of mogas at Réunion Island, 100 113 rupees. And you know what is the price in Mauritius? 64 rupees and 25 cents.
No more question? Okay? Okay, no further question. Now we go to the question addressed to the... Can we have some quiet, please? Honorable Prime Minister, question addressed to Honorable Minister. Before you answer question, let me announce the Honorable Member at the table has been advised that PQ 988 and B1006 will be replied by the Doctor, the Honorable Prime Minister, time permitting. I call the third member for Port Restored and Port Island.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. PQB 961, please.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm informed by the Registrar of the Civil Status that generally, once an applicant reaches the service counter, the processing time ranges from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the nature of the request. More complex requests may take about between 15 and 20 minutes to process. However, there are a few instances where members of the public experience longer waiting times. The situation is attributable to a shortage of staff with 17 vacancies in the grade of civil status officers. I'm informed that action has already been taken to fill these 17 vacancies and the interviews have already been completed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the civil status has digitalized its services to enable citizens to download electronic copies of birth and marriage certificates through the MoCloud application. However, the acceptance of QR registered copies of birth and marriage certificates by banks, notaries, and the apostille section is subject to the specific requirements governing the respective functions. One such case is the apostille of documents, which is requirement pursuant to Convention of 5th of October 1961, abolishing the requirement of legislation for foreign public documents, has to certify the authenticity of the signature, the capacity in which the person signing the document has acted, and where appropriate, identity of the seal or stamp which the document bears. Hence, QR-generated documents cannot be used at this point. To facilitate the wide acceptance of such electronic documents, my office is currently examining the existing legal and operational frameworks in consultations with the State Law Office.
Yes. The Honorable First Member for Vacqua-Floréal.
B962, s'il vous plaît.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm informed that the State Investment Corporation entered into a shareholders agreement on the 29th of August 2015 with Yihai International Investment Management Limited, a company incorporated in the British Virgin Islands and wholly owned by Mr. Lihai, who is a Chinese national, for the development of a smart city project at Domaine Lepai. For this purpose, Yihai Investment Limited was incorporated as a domestic company on the 15th of September 2015 to undertake the development of the smart city project. The Economic Development Board granted a smart city certificate to Yihai on the 4th of October 2019. The State Investment Corporation's capital contribution to Yihai consisted of 97 arpents of land, together with the existing buildings at Domaine Lepai, comprising principally 5 restaurants and their associated infrastructure. This contribution was valued at 573.7 million rupees and represented 49% of the issued share capital of Yihai. The other shareholder, namely Yihai International Investment Management Limited, was required to contribute an initial cash injection of 598 million rupees, along with materials and equipment valued at more than 600 million rupees, which together were intended to constitute the equity contribution in Yihai of approximately 1.2 billion rupees. However, as at date, Yihai has injected only 440 million rupees. This in itself is a major red flag. The project initially comprised the construction of 135 villas, 1,229 apartments, 1 office tower, 1 commercial building, 1 school, 1 hotel, 1 health clinic, 1 clubhouse, and 2 service buildings to be developed in 3 phases under the Smart City scheme. The project was designed to integrate the existing Domaine des Pailles theme park while preserving the historical infrastructure of the site. In addition, in December 2015, the State Investment Corporation, through its subsidiary, the Suivez Properties Limited, entered into an administration and management agreement with EHI for the management of the existing equestrian center at Domaine des Pailles for a period of 19 years. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is another scandalous project under the previous government, and it has several dimensions. I'm informed by the State Investment Corporation that it has not leased the prime land of government of Mauritius, but rather there has been an outright transfer of the land and buildings to EHI. These properties are now owned by EHI, with EHI International Investment Management Limited as the major shareholder. This prime land is therefore no longer under the control of the State Investment Corporation. It has instead been transferred to EHI, which is under the control of a non-citizen who has failed to deliver and honor his commitments, and is also now under the investigation by the FCC, Financial Crimes Commission. Mr. Deputy Speaker, some disturbing facts have also been uncovered by the new management of the State Investment Corporation. One, I'm informed by the State Investment Corporation that no due diligence was conducted by the latter on EHI International Investment Management Limited and on Mr. Lihai himself prior to the signature of the shareholders' agreement. Second, when EHI was set up, it was agreed in the shareholders' agreement that all checks will be signed by 2 signatories, namely Mr. Lihai and a representative from the State Investment Corporation. Initially, it was Mrs. Banumati Virasamy, who was later replaced by Mr. Anup Linambor. However, in March 2018, there was a major department from the above arrangements, whereby the Board of Directors of EHI approved that only Mr. Lihai will sign all the checks up to an amount of 10 million rupees. For all checks above 10 million, Mr. Lihai and Mr. Anup Linambor would be the signatories. This devious and unusual mechanism allowed Mr. Lihai to empty the bank account of EHI single-handedly. Mr. Lihai took the liberty to sign several checks and withdrew a total of 107 million rupees. To be precise, he withdrew an amount of 9,431,240 rupees on 10 different occasions, amongst others, over a very short span of time, 3 months, from March 2022 to May 2022. Furthermore, Mr. Lihai and Mr. Anup Linambor approved a further board resolution on the 31st of June 2019 to pay a net monthly salary of 500,000 rupees to Mr. Lihai. The income tax payable thereupon was to be borne by the company EHI as opposed to Mr. Lihai himself. As from February 2026, the new management of State Investment Corporation has put an end to this scam. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm further informed by the State Investment Corporation that since the transfer of the land and buildings, EHI International Investment Management Limited has been in persistent breach of the terms of the agreements and has failed to discharge its contractual obligations. The main breaches include: 1, a failure to meet its full capital contribution of 1.2 billion rupees, comprising 598 million in the form of cash, of which 158 million remain unpaid, and the remaining in the form of building materials and construction equipment, which has never been brought in. 2, a substantial project delays with only 4 villas and 1 apartment block of the 29 units completed. 3, unpaid administration and management fees to Suivez Properties Limited, totaling 10.6 million rupees. 4, severe governance issues such as non-submission of audited accounts since 2019. 5, lack of accountability to shareholders. 6, breach of conditions of its smart city scheme certificate. And 7, failure to pay a guaranteed dividend of 500 million rupees over 3 years to the State Investment Corporation as per the agreement they had signed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on the 16th of May 2025, the former Deputy Prime Minister, together with other ministers, carried out a site visit at Domaine Lipai to take stock of the status of the project and the infrastructural development carried thereafter. He immediately, in a press conference, highlighted that the Domaine Lipai has been in a state of severe neglect for several years and that the historic site remains underdeveloped and abandoned. The equestrian center was also in a pitiful state, with allegation of ill treatment of the horses and ponies. Mr. Deputy Speaker, such a gross mismanagement of this project occurred over the period of 2015 to 2024 under the previous government. With regards to Part A of the question, I'm informed that SIC has initiated legal proceedings to prevent Yiha International Investment Management Limited from exercising its voting rights in respect of unpaid share capital and to restrain the sale of villas and apartments by Mr. Yihai. On the 28th of May 2024, the State Investment Corporation obtained an interim order prohibiting and restraining Yihai from selling or otherwise disposing of part of its assets, including apartments belonging to Yihai. 3, Gibby's Properties Limited issued a notice of termination of the administration and management agreement on the 24th of October 2025 with effect from 30th of November 2025, requiring Yihai to surrender possession of the stables, the horses and the ponies. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as regards to Part B of the question, I'm informed by the Economic Development Board that a comprehensive assessment of the project has been undertaken, following which a report was forwarded to the former Deputy Prime Minister in July 2025. As per the report, there have been delays in project implementation owing to changes to the business plan, governance concerns, serious issues relating to capital contribution, and the absence of updated audited financial statements, as I said, since 2019. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the light of the serious shortcomings identified, the most of the matter has been referred to the FCC in May 2026. The EDB is considering revoking the Smart City Scheme certificate in accordance with the applicable legal and regulatory framework. In so doing, the EDB is also taking into account the interests of the State Investment Corporation after evaluating all the risks involved in the project, including financial, regulatory, and investment-related risk, so as to ensure that any decision does not prejudice the interests of the State Investment Corporation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I am further informed by the State Investment Corporation that following allegations made to the FCC by 2 Chinese nationals, there exists a dispute in the financial participation of Mr. Lihai in the shareholding of Yihai International Investment Management Limited. The 2 Chinese nationals have also alleged that Mr. Lihai is engaged in money laundering, following which the FCC has lodged a provisional charge against Mr. Lihai. Following an application by the FCC, the Supreme Court issued a freezing order in respect of Mr. Lihai's bank accounts and all the assets of Yihai Investment Limited. The State Investment Corporation has additionally, in May 2026, lodged a formal complaint with the FCC against Mr. Lihai for fraud and misappropriation of funds. The FCC is currently investigating the alleged malpractices involving Mr. Li Lambao and Mr. Lihai. And yet I should add, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the same Mr. Li Lambao was subsequently appointed as CEO of the State Bank of Mauritius by the previous government. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is a high-profile case involving significant public assets, prime lands of government, a historical national site, gross mismanagement, dishonesty by shareholder Yihai International Investment Management Limited, and a loss on investment.
Yes, Honorable Laurent.
Je vous remercie. Est-ce que, dans le cadre de l'enquête de la FCC, les autorités auraient pris contact avec les autorités chinoises pour demander quelconque assistance? Et si oui, quelles sont les retombées?
I'm not in a position to say that at this stage because the inquiry is ongoing.
Next question.
Merci. Au-delà des millions qui sont dus par rapport au loyer des écuries du domaine des pailles, il y a également, si je ne me trompe pas, encore 4 poneys survivants sur les lieux. Est-ce que des actions seraient envisagées pour assurer le bien-être de l'animal, étant donné qu'ils sont dans un très mauvais état?
That is, of course, they should have done that already, if they haven't.
Okay. The Honourable Third Member for Portray South, Portray Central.
B963, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Finance Act of 2022 introduced amendments to the Civil Status Muslim Family Council Regulations 2005 to provide for the registration of Muslim religious marriages celebrated in accordance with Muslim rites other than civilly during the periods from 1st of January 1982 to 13th of November 1987 and from the 1st of December 1990 to the 21st of August 2022. Under these transitional provisions, where such marriages remain unregistered as at the 22nd of September 2022, both spouses or the surviving female spouse could apply to the Muslim Family Council for its registration, provided that the application was made not later than the 31st of December 2022. The purpose of this measure was to allow spouses, through religious marriages celebrated according to Muslim rites, other than civil marriages, during the period mentioned, to make applications to the Council for the registration of the marriage, and if the marriage was registered by the Council, to qualify for the basic widow's pension. I'm informed by the Muslim Family Council that during the registration exercise, 368 applications were received. Of these, 322 were approved and certificates of registration were issued, including 109 submitted by surviving spouses. There were 46 applications which were refused for non-fulfillment of the prescribed requirements, of which 31 were submitted by surviving spouses. I'm further informed that after the expiry of the registration period on the 31st of December 2022, an additional 38 applications for registration were received from surviving spouses. As the statutory deadline has expired, those applications could not be processed. However, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the issue of granting a further extension of the deadline for the registration of Muslim religious marriages is presently under consideration.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for your answer. May I request you, in the event that this consideration is agreed, that adequate communique be circulated by the Muslim Family Councils so that these 38 women, as you said, can have at least their pension being paid to them in due time. And thank you for the compassion that you have shown in answering this question.
And this will have to be communicated, yes.
The Honourable Fourth Member for Portray South and Mortailon.
PQB 964.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me be absolutely clear and unequivocal. The members of the Commission of Experts on Pension Reform have discharged their responsibilities with the utmost diligence, independence, professionalism, and integrity. I would like to reiterate what I stated in my reply to the private notice question on the 25th of June 2026. The members of the Commission are accomplished professionals who have distinguished themselves in their respective fields, both nationally and internationally. I consider it wholly unfair and unjustified that the members of the Commission should be blamed for decisions announced in the budget speech relating to pension reform. Their role has been to provide independent expert advice and recommendations. It is therefore neither appropriate nor fair to attribute to the Commission the policy decisions contained in the budget speech. Thus, the question of revoking the appointment does not arise. In fact, Mr. Deputy Speaker, members of the Commissions have been appointed for a period of 18 months, as from October 2025, with clear terms of reference in consultation with the World Bank and the IMF and approved by Cabinet in September 2025. the Commission was mandated to examine the three pillars of the pension system, namely, 1, the basic non-contributory pensions, in particular basic retirement pension, 2, the contributory pension schemes, and 3, the voluntary private pensions, including personal retirement savings plans and occupational pension schemes offered by employers. After only 8 months, Mr. Deputy Speaker, 8 months of intense consultations and deliberations, the Commission submitted its interim report in May 2026 in line with its terms of reference. This report was presented on the 20th of May 2026 to the Steering Committee on Pension Reform, chaired by myself and comprising the then Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, the Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity, the Minister of Financial Services and Economic Planning, the Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations, the Minister of Industry, SMEs and Cooperatives, the Junior Minister of Finance, the Junior Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I must emphasize that members of the Steering Committee made a number of comments and suggestions which was taken on board by the Commission. There was broad consensus from members of the Steering Committee on the direction of the reforms. Mr. Deputy Speaker, due to the urgency of the fiscal situation, especially the still very high level of public debt, estimated at 87.7% of GDP as of June of this year, and given that the Commission had completed its analysis and recommendations on the first pillar of the pension system, in particular the basic retirement pension, government decided to act immediately on the policy recommended by the Commission in its interim report. To facilitate the implementation of this reform, we are setting up, as recommended by the Commission, a unified independent pensions regulatory authority to regulate the entire pension system, and a central pensions administration bureau which will regroup all state-sponsored schemes into one place to digitalize and facilitate service to members and pensioners. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Commission has still approximately 9 months remaining to submit its final report, in particular on Pillar 2 and 3 of our pension system. In addition to its substantive findings and recommendations contained in the interim report, the Commission is expected to set out the modalities and implementation roadmap required to give effect to the recommendations. Specifically, the final report will provide guidance on the legislative, administrative, and institutional measures necessary to implement those recommendations, including a comprehensive review of the legislative framework governing pensions and retirement benefits, including the Pensions Act, the Statutory Bodies Pension Funds Act, the Workers' Rights Portable Retirement Gratuity Fund, the regulations of 2020, the National Pensions Act, the National Savings Fund Act, the Pension President's Emoluments and Pension Act, the National Assembly Retiring Allowances Act, and the Social Contribution and Social Benefits Act. B, the setting up of the National Pensions and Provident Fund. C, the appropriate mechanism to be put in place for managing and investing the funds under the National Pensions and Provident Fund. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to emphasize that the reform of Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 of the pension system, that is, I mentioned earlier, that is the contributory pension schemes and the voluntary private schemes are not yet finalized. In particular, the establishment of the National Pensions and Provident Fund and the modalities will have to be worked out. The implementation will require dedicated legislation, extensive consultations with stakeholders, and also guidance from the proposed Independent Pensions Regulatory Authority. The future of the Portable Retirement Gratuity Fund, as well as the National Savings Fund, will also be carefully considered, taking into account both the short and long-term interests of the workers. Subject to Cabinet approval, the necessary legislation is expected to be introduced before the end of the financial year 2026-2027. I also wish to assure the House that the proposed reforms will not leave any worker worse off. On the contrary, every worker will have an individual dedicated account similar to the arrangements that existed under the National Pensions Fund. And furthermore, the reforms will not result in any increase in contribution rates for either employees or employers. The CSG contributions that are currently credited into the consolidated fund will be progressively redirected to workers' individual accounts. Mr. Deputy Speaker, all these reforms are being done in the wider interest of workers and to protect the future earnings, their future earnings after their retirement. Coming back to the question of the Commission has been entrusted with a mandate of significant national importance, and government has every confidence in the expertise, independence and professionalism of its members to discharge that responsibility. Accordingly, I wish to reiterate that the question of revoking the appointment of the members of the Commission does not arise. I have requested them to continue the important work entrusted to them and to complete the mandate by submitting the final report. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is clear
that with the reform of the pension system, as a responsible government, we have not chosen the easy way out and to try to get political mileage, but rather our objective is to save the system, to ensure that all the elderly obtain a pension in future and that the future generation is not burdened with an unsustainable pension system.
Yes, question?
Yeah. Mr. Deputy Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he doesn't find that the Commission has acted outside of the mandate conferred by the supreme authority of the executive, that is Cabinet, which decided in September, in fact the 26th of September, to set up a steering committee which shall provide guidance to the Commission, but the most important, which shall assess and act upon the recommendation of the Commission. Yet, according to the reply of the Honourable Prime Minister last week, it is clear that a presentation was made to the steering committee, questions were raised, but the final report was never assessed and acted upon by the steering committee. Therefore, does he not find now that it has acted outside of its mandate?
No, not at all, Mr. Deputy Speaker, not at all. I thought I explained that there were 3 pillars for that the Commissioner was mandated to examine. 3 pillars. One was the basic non-contributory pensions, in particular the basic retirement pension. The second pillar was the contributory pension scheme, and the third was the voluntary private pensions, which included private savings, retirement savings plans, and occupational pension schemes offered by employers. For the first pillar, they've already done the work. That is why the committee, it was urgent, because as you know what the debt is. So it was urgent to do something about it. We don't wait for another 9 months.
Honourable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Sir, Honourable Prime Minister, I raised the issue of possible conflict of interest last time. Can I ask you whether you're aware that one of the members of that commission has recently obtained a contract for consultancy services by the Ministry of Finance itself?
Not aware. What consultancy services are you referring to?
It is a consultant for investment advisory services to the National Pension Fund and National Saving Funds Investment Committee.
I'm not aware that he's been given a particular task to advise on this. He's advising generally.
Last question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I must reiterate, whether the question was urgent or not, it doesn't matter. Cabinet had laid down the modalities.
Okay,
and
put your question.
No, my question is coming. And this has been, in fact, reaffirmed by the Minister of Social Security himself. In his press conference, he said, and I quote, he said, "Nous ne chiffré, report what I have quoted from blatantly disrespectful."
In way of slides, not a report itself, but a way of slides. The time was urgent. We have to act. We had the interim report. We decided to go ahead. The 2 other pillars, as I said, are not yet ready.
You should talk to the Minister of Social Security.
Okay.
I speak to him every day.
The table, Honourable Member, the table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B969, 972, 975, 973, 974, 977, 971, 968, 967. Question? Time is over. Honourable Member, the table that B1007 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Local Government. The Honourable Fourth Member for Roddick, Honourable Edouard.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, B978.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with your permission, I shall reply to Parliament question B978 and B980 together, as they relate to the same subject matter. I'm informed that an unfortunate accident occurred during the Mauritius National Road Cycling Championship held on Sunday, 28 June 2026 at approximately 8:50 hours, involving cyclist M.L. on a bend near Chaché Talu before Midland Village. I'm further informed that the circumstances surrounding the accident are currently under investigation by the Mauritius Police Force. The inquiry has not yet been completed, and it would be not appropriate for me to comment further. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm informed that the response by the Sea Care ambulance, which was providing medical cover for the event, was immediate. First aid was administered to the injured cyclist, and the scene before he was transported to Sea Care Hospital for emergency treatment. However, due to the prohibitive cost of treatment, the President of the Mauritius Cycling Federation called me, and following my personal intervention on the same day, arrangement was made for Mr. L to be transferred to Victoria Hospital, where he is currently receiving specialized medical care. I wish to inform the House that my ministry and the Mauritius Cycling Federation have remained in close contact with the family of Mr. L, as well as with the medical team overseeing his treatment, in order to monitor his condition and extend all possible support. I'm informed that his condition is currently stable and that he is awaiting further surgical procedures. I personally paid him a visit and met with his mother, where I assure her of my personal support and that of my ministry. My ministry acted promptly and immediately on the next day of the event. We requested a full report about the incident. A copy of the report from the Federation is being tabled. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the safety measure and security protocols in place for the event, I'm informed by the Mauritius Cycling Federation that the following protocols, which are in accordance with the Union Cycliste Internationale guidelines for organizing of cycling events, were in place. Prior to the event, approval of the race route by the Mauritius Police Force and appointment of Union Cycliste Internationale commissioners to supervise the competition and ensure compliance with the applicable UCI regulation. During the event, an official led vehicle positioned ahead of the leading group of each race, fitted with a "Beware Cycle Race" warning sign and a flashing beacon to alert motorists. An ambulance accompanying the race throughout the event to provide immediate medical assistance whenever required. 8 police motorcycle escorts, 9 police officers deployed at strategic location and major intersection along the route, 1 private motorcycle assisting with race security and communication, 13 trained race marshal positioned along the course to assist with traffic management and rider safety, security barriers installed at the finish area to protect riders, officials and spectators, and an official race convoy comprising lead and support vehicle. While the Mauritius Cycling Federation considers that comprehensive safety arrangement has been put in place, it is also recognizes that road cycling, by its nature, carries inherent risks, particularly when competitions are conducted on public roads. The Federation has also pointed out that even where roads are temporarily closed, it is not possible to eliminate all risks entirely. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, notwithstanding the above, this unfortunate incident called for a thorough assessment of the existing framework governing road cycling competition. Accordingly, my ministry will engage in consultation with the Mauritius Cycling Federation, the Mauritius Police Force and all other relevant stakeholders with a view to reviewing and, where necessary, strengthening the existing safety and regulatory framework. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I also wish to assure the House that my ministry and the Mauritius Cycling Federation are working closely together to identify appropriate means of supporting Mr. L and his family during this difficult period. The Mauritius Cycling Federation has approved the organization of a fundraising campaign in support to the family. In addition, I'm informed that Mr. L is covered under the Federation Insurance Program, which includes employer's liability, group personal accident, and public liability insurance. Furthermore, at the level of my ministry, we have the Athlete Welfare Scheme. The case of Mr. L for any assistance deemed appropriate in accordance with the applicable provision is being considered. This scheme has already assisted various athletes in the past. My thought, and I am sure those of the whole House, are with Mr. L and his family, and I sincerely wish him a full speedy recovery.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. May I ask the Honourable Minister if he will consider the construction of a velodrome to house cycling competitions in the future?
Bear with me. Oh, sorry. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, consideration may be given for the construction of a velodrome for training purposes, as well as for indoor cycling competition, but it would not suitable for road races. A velodrome may be used as a complement to road cycling rather than a replacement. Many elite cyclists train on the track because it develops speed, bike control, and fitness that transfer well to the road, but they still spend significant time training on roads to prepare for the specific demand of road racing.
Merci, Monsieur le Vice-président. L'honorable ministre est-il au courant que la police, ce jour-là, contrôlait la circulation uniquement pour la tête de la course, c'est-à-dire le peloton de tête, et non pour les coureurs qui étaient détachés, comme c'est le cas pour le malheureux cycliste ML. Donc, dans ce contexte, l'honorable ministre peut-il dire à la Chambre quelles conditions et mesures son ministère compte imposer aux fédérations, pas uniquement la fédération de cyclistes, qui organisent des compétitions sur route afin de mieux protéger la vie des sportifs mauriciens et étrangers.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, like I said in my reply, inspection and proposed race route by Federation official, identification of potential safety risks and implementation of appropriate mitigation measures, submission of the race route and operational plan to the Commissioner of Police for approval. These details has already been worked out with the police force. So if we have to work together with the Federation for further, like I said in my reply, for further measures to be taken, I will do so.
Honorable Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy, sir. Can the Honorable Minister give us more details on the athlete welfare scheme he mentioned? Thank you. The athlete welfare scheme. Can I have more detail, please? Thank you.
It's a long list. If I can table it, I will table it.
Okay, one last question, Honorable.
May I ask the Honorable Minister if the athlete welfare scheme is extended to athlete in Rodriguez?
Of course. Of course, it is included in the welfare scheme.
Okay, because your question has been one last question.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, l'honorable ministre est-il au courant que les frais de clinique du cycliste dépassent les 100 000 roupies et que le cycliste n'est couvert que par une assurance à hauteur de 25 000 roupies? Il a dit lui-même qu'il y a un scheme qui pourrait éventuellement couvrir les frais. Je lui demande, ici dans cette Chambre, est-ce qu'il prend l'engagement au niveau de son ministère d'aider le cycliste à régler cette note?
Effectively, the government has increased the budget for the Federation, and we are working on it.
Honorable Fourth Member for Port Resource and Port Mortal.
B979.
I thank the Honourable Member for this question, but I'm afraid to say that the Honourable Member might have got the facts wrong in his question. First, the difference in life expectancy at birth between males and females, which I presume is what the Honourable Member is referring to, is not 6.8 years. Second, it is not appropriate to use life expectancy at birth to calculate the actuarial reduction factor. And third, we cannot have differentiated actuarial reduction factor, one for males and one for females. Let me get the facts straight. First, with regard to life expectancy at birth, according to the latest figures from Statistics Mauritius for year 2025 provided by the Ministry of Finance, the difference in life expectancy at birth between males and females was 7.3 years and not 6.8 years as stated by the Honourable Member. I'm tabling the latest statistic provided by Statistics Mauritius and Ministry of Finance. Second, for the purpose of pension, it is more appropriate to use expectancy at age 60 instead of life expectancy at birth. According to Statistics Mauritius, the difference in life expectancy at age 60 between males and females was 4.1 years in 2025. I'm tabling the latest statistic from Statistics Mauritius provided by the Ministry of Finance. Third, in determining the actuarial reduction factor, it is a standard international practice not to differentiate between males and females. The actual reduction factor is therefore based on the average life expectancy at age 60 and assumption as to investment yields. This principle is already enshrined in law under the 8th schedule to the National Pension Funds Act, which provide for the application of a monthly actuarial reduction of 0.45%. I'm informed that the Commission has recalculated the actuarial reduction factor at 0.5% per month based on new demographic data available. The proposed reduced state age pension in the budget is based on the same principles as the basic retirement pension. It is universal, non-contributory, that is payable to all eligible persons, regardless of whether they are men or women. Moreover, although women generally live longer than men, government does not consider it appropriate to apply different reduction rates based on gender. The reduced state age pension is designed to treat all eligible persons equally, so the same reduction rates will apply. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the record, I was quoting from the available figures of last year. That being the case, does the Minister agree then that the average life expectancy of a man is 70 years old? You can round it up here, it's 70.6. And that therefore, under the state age pension, if he takes his pension at 60, for the amount of 11,589, he will earn 400,000 more than if he takes it at 65 at the quantum of 16,555. Therefore, we can then agree, does he not agree, that all males will take their pension at 60? Is that something that we can agree on?
I've already stated the stand of the government, and we don't intend to differentiate between male and female on gender basis. Secondly, all the issue of reduced pension age is being examined by a Cabinet Economic Committee, which has been set up by the Cabinet last Friday. It will meet under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister this Wednesday to inter alia and study all the adjustment necessary, if necessary, in relation to the reduced SAP, following the decision of the government not to go ahead with the means test of the initially proposed SAP.
Right. May I ask the Honourable Minister, secondly, with regards to the woman, it is the same thing. When you look at what they stand to gain over the 18 years and what they stand to gain if they take it at 65 over 13 years, it is marginally different. Therefore, once we've established that, I will ask the Minister, in fact, the state age pension as it stands, is it not the case that while a 30% increase was promised by him to 21,500, it is in fact exactly a 30% decrease that is being offered now under the state age pension of 60 years. Does he not agree on that as well?
This is a matter of opinion. If you have any opinion, you can state it, and the committee will study everything tomorrow at 2:30 p.m.
Question and not a statement.
My last question, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Insult to injury. The previous pension system was increased year by year, were increased and was to be increased year by year. But according to that reform here, according to paragraph 29, I will quote, 27.3e of the annex to the budget, we see that whoever elects, and everybody will elect to get the pension at 60, will do so on a fixed rate basis until their death. Can you also confirm that this is the case?
You know, the initial question was on life expectancy between males and females. Yes. Okay, I already replied to this question. To the second question, whatever adjustment between the 60 and 70 will be discussed tomorrow.
I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.
La science ne ment pas.